Can someone please reply?
Yeah, man.
Okay, thank you. Hi, good evening everyone. My name is Rakesh Kulkarni. I am a secretary for TEMS India team. I welcome you all to the first event by IEEE TEMS India in 2020. Well, first of all, wishing you all a very happy new year. Today we have with us one of our energetic and enthusiastic team member named Aisha Nazia. Welcome, Aisha.
Thank you, Rakesh. Thank you.
Thank you. Aisha is basically a mechanical engineering graduate from Kerala. She started her career with Indian Oil and was there for a couple of years. She then moved to INK Talks. She stayed there for around 4 years. From then, she had been part of many different companies like Kai Talks, etc. She is naturally inclined towards sports, specifically football and basketball, and because of which she was actively participating in the organizing committee of India's first Under-17 FIFA World Cup, which was organized in 2017, and also NBA India Games in 2019. She is currently working in Connectico Talent Labs, and she is also a co-founder of StartChange.today. She has many roles to be played in IEEE, and she is playing multiple roles currently. The major of which is she takes care of Women in Engineering division of IEEE TEMS. Welcome, Aisha. It's all yours now. You can take over.
Thank you for the introduction, Rakesh, and a warm welcome to all of you who have, taken this time out to come and listen to this. I really hope that the next 1 hour is going to be productive, and some kind of information that I can pass to you will really help you in what you're looking forward. So I will share a screen and start away with the PPT so that we get a little space in terms of Q&A. Because the whole concept of building a resume, which is what I'm going to talk today, is very subjective from person to person. So whatever I'm going to gather during this webinar is just to help you guys frame what exactly you need to do. But then these are like a set of, wireframe guidelines beyond which you need to become very subjective to who you are as a professional and then take things forward. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So like we have already told, the whole webinar is about building your springboard and awesome resume, because without you building up your own personal brand, it's very difficult to go outside. I'm sure you would have seen the gradual increase in the competition that's been happening. Like if you talk to your parents, you would have understood that in their times, even getting a 60% mark was like a big deal. But today we are in a very competitive world where us being at the cutting edge of what we are doing has become very important. Otherwise, we just lose ourselves amidst the crowd, and then it's very difficult to get where you aspire to become. You might just become another engineer, working for a company and not making mistakes. So beyond just resume, it is all about how you create your personal brand and how you portray yourself as a professional when compared to the other people around you, and go beyond just being what's written in your resume. So just to start off with, resume is a document used and created by a person to present their background, skills, and accomplishments is what Wikipedia says. Like that's briefly what all of us know. Like be it in any sector that you work, be it technology, management, research, training, or even if you're a volunteer. Like there are people who get into volunteering these days. In all the cases, a resume pretty much explains, like in one sheet of paper, what you are exactly, what have you trained yourself in, what is your experience, and what are you up to. So basically, it's as simple as that. And usually, resumes are used when you're securing a new employment. Other than that, I don't think in the current scenario you really need a resume unless you're not going knocking somebody's door for an opportunity. And also just because we are all together on a Friday evening, just to give you a Friday fact that Leonardo da Vinci, which all of you know, is credited to have the first ever resume of the world. So he's the one who pretty much started this whole resume that we are going to talk about for the next 1 hour. So, and what he made was in the form of a letter that was written to his potential employer, another artist. Going forward, there are basically two kind of facets that you can portray as your personal brand. Like there's one is called profession, the other is called passion. The reason why I have a picture of food there is because I wanted to bring into your context that pretty much your resume should be like a food court. Like it should have multiple facets of who you are, like not just about your education as an engineer or not just about your profession working as a software engineer in a company. It should be beyond that. Like there has to be highlights of you as a person. If you check the conventional way of how resumes are built, you will pretty much see that there is a very generic template where people write their 10th grade, their 12th grade marks, their engineering, degree scores, and then if they've done any courses, they add that. Or, and after that section, they just write any internships or any placement drives that they have attended or what are the offers that they have in hand. And then pretty much some skill set. You write about the medals that you have scored in sports, you write about the extracurricular activities and contexts that you have participated, but it pretty much ends there. But to be frankly speaking, it has to be a mixture of profession and passion, considering that you are going to, face the world that pretty much is very casual these days. Like if you really look at how the industry is growing, things are becoming very flexible. Employee wellness, giving the right space for people to work is what companies focus today. Like most companies have taken off barriers like wearing coat and suit and ties to work. You can even wear a shorts and go to work. So that whole facet has changed because people believe that an individual is beyond a particular profession, more, a person's passion towards working for something. So just giving you an understanding that educational qualification, your experience is 100% a requirement by default.
Aisha?
Yeah?
Aisha, sorry for the interruption. Are you sharing your presentation because the screen is still it's frozen?
Oh, yes, I'm sharing my presentation.
We cannot see it. I'm sorry.
1 second. I'll just check.
Please. By the time Aisha sets it up, I have some do's and don'ts for all of you. Please, if you have any queries, please drop them in a chat box, and please make sure that you are on mute throughout the session.
Rakesh, can you see it now?
No, no, Aisha, not yet.
Okay. Can you see it now?
No.
Okay. Were you able to see it in the first two slides?
No, 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 no. It was just the wallpaper which you had.
Okay.
And guys, if you're not able to hear anything in between the session, please end the meeting and rejoin again. But make sure that you are joining in mute.
Can you see now? Rakesh?
Aisha, it is loading, I think. It's a grayed out screen.
Has it come? Can you see it?
Not yet, Aisha, not yet.
Rakesh, how about now? Because it completely says that my laptop is already previewing the screen that is being shown.
It's grayed out screen, Aisha. Even though it says viewing Aisha's application, it's grayed out. Is there anybody else who is able to see her presentation? No, nobody is able to see your presentation, Aisha.
1 second.
Yeah,
I'll stop and I'll start once more.
yeah, that's better. Let's wait for a few minutes. She's joining again.
Hello?
Aisha, you're on video.
Yeah. I'm just trying to connect.
Yeah.
Can you see now?
Yes, we can see now. Aisha, your video is on.
Yeah, I'll cut it 1 second. Yeah. So I hope everybody can see the PPT now.
Yes, yes. Good to go now.
Basically, this was the first slide. Sorry that it didn't come. And what I was talking about, the whole resume and the first resumes, fun fact and all of that. And this is what I was covering, that these days the resume is supposed to be more beyond just portraying your profession. It will definitely have educational qualifications, it will have experience, and also by default it should have extracurricular activities, or when I say activity, needn't necessarily be sport, but anything that proves that you're a good professional, a team leader, a good group player, etc. That is the ones that are going to gain you brownie points, because anybody who's applying for an employment by default has the first two, which is educational qualification and your experience of what you are. So just because we are under the banner of IEEE has something called IEEE Resume Lab. I wanted to bring into the context of that here, because all of us pay a certain amount of money that goes to IEEE for availing services from them, of which IEEE Resume Lab has been a very good platform for me, at least when I was in my undergrad days, because it really helped me understand what are the different templates. Because otherwise what happens in a college is that it's pretty much one guy comes up with a resume template and everybody copies that once the placement drive is there. But nobody thinks out of it. Or the maximum that we would do will be go to a Google search result and then just build a resume based on what's shown there. IEEE Resume Lab is just beyond making resume. Like, it gives you a variety of options. Like, it lets you make a resume. It has various different templates depending on the sector, depending on your work experience stage, depending on which department you fall into. Also, it has options to write letters, because today, beyond resume, it's about how you present your cover letter, how you write a welcome note to your employer. All of that really matters, and hence they have that option also. You can create a portfolio of your work also using the IEEE Resume Lab. They have skill assessment tests, like similar to the ones that we find on LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn recently as in 7 to 8 months back, launched something called skill assessment. Like, if I've put that I know Microsoft Excel Advanced, then LinkedIn has prepared a test, which if I clear, LinkedIn gets me a tag that I'm a certified or LinkedIn assessment, cleared person when it comes to, Microsoft Excel Advanced. So similar to that, IEEE also has some skills assessment that you can take, so that can be added to your experience as a unique skill. They also have mock interview platforms where you can give them what kind of an employer are you going to face, and they will curate a certain set of questions for you. Also, like most of you would see, it is the the scenario that we live in today is mostly the age of TikToks and YouTube videos. And the industry that we are currently living in, especially when you talk about startups, a video resume really helps. Like, you don't even have to write down like a one A4 sheet with all the details. Just a 1 minute video resume makes a lot in the industry today. IEEE Resume Lab also gives you the option to create a video resume. Now, what is very important on your resume is not what you have scored in your. Can the person, can everybody please go on mute?
Hello? Can everybody stay on mute, please?
Yeah, so what I wanted to highlight otherwise is that I'm sure that everybody who's listening to me now pretty much knows how to make a resume. Now, what's important is your resume being unique really places you beyond what you are. It's like a wildcard entry to the interview. An employer pretty much spends 30 to 45 seconds looking at a resume. That's why you would have noticed that these days it is advised that the resume is a one sheet, or let's say one page resume, because they don't have the time or the bandwidth to glance through multiple pages. But that doesn't mean that you tweak in your whole autobiography into that one page, because currently when I was doing a placement drive for my company in some colleges in and around Bangalore, I happened to notice that it is one page because we have kept a restriction like that, but it pretty much had everything. It had the gold medal that he's got in badminton when he was in 6th grade to his BTech, scores. So you don't have to fit in everything into it. You should be able to prioritize what is important. Similarly, your resume should give an employer an understanding of how flexible you are as a person, how much of cross functional you are when it comes to knowledge. Like, you cannot just say that I only know JavaScript, or you cannot just say that I can only work on this particular, or let's say refrigeration when it comes to mechanical engineering, or any similar manner. Like, nowadays it's very important that you have the skill set to juggle between multiple things. The third thing is how spontaneous you are. Spontaneous in terms of, maybe organizing an event or doing a webinar, or, taking care of something in your college. Because the moment you play as a team leader, being spontaneous becomes very important. Similarly, it should also portray your intra as well as interpersonal. Right? Good communication skills. You will write things like, my English vocabulary is good, I am very good at writing, but these are all your interpersonal skills. When we exactly talk about a professional, and the way professionals are reviewed once you get into a company is based on your intrapersonal skills. Because by default today, if you have to get into a very good company, you must know English, you must be very good in terms of communication. So you don't have to highlight that. Like, those are like by default basics. Like how you say that if you have to get into a BTech course, it's by default understood that you have to pass your 10th and 12th grade. So you don't really have to away space writing, I'm a very good communicator, I have great English writing skills and all of that. Instead, you have to focus on things like you are a team player, you have handled a team of 200 people during a marathon, or you have conducted a workshop under the banner of IEEE in your college. These are like, it portrays you as an individual beyond your profession. Similarly, you should be able to also put across straight on the paper how much of time and energy you put as investment into it. Like if we're doing engineering from say 2012 to 2016 or 2014 to 2018, but during this time, you should be able to show what other areas of work that we're going with it. So that is very important in terms of how they evaluate you juggling multiple things at the same time. Sorry to interrupt. It will be great if all of you keep your laptops or mobile phones on mute, because otherwise it is very difficult to go ahead talking about something. Yeah, so sorry for the interruption. So just to continue, another major thing that the industry today is in high demand is the amount of travel that is involved to work. I'm sure all of you would have seen this. If you follow your seniors or if you follow some of your school seniors on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you will see the amount of travel most of the people today working do. No matter you work for an Accenture or Infosys, or no matter you work for a startup, no matter you work for a PSU, every young employee is expected to travel more, considering that most of us are bachelors or most of us have lesser responsibilities when compared to other middle managers and above. So the amount of travel that involves with work doesn't mean that you can, take it easy. You should be able to, do both of it, and showing that you have exposure traveling outside your own home city is very important. Like if you write that you have gone to attend a conference in Indore, or you have gone to attend an IEEE event in Mumbai, that really changes the whole perspective of who you are, because that goes beyond your locality, beyond your college, and also to a new, place. Like even if it would have been a 2-day event, it's very important these days that people really want to know how much you have explored yourself in terms of, traveling, going to a new city, doing something there or attending an event there. Similarly, I don't know how many of you have a to-do list. No matter how much technology intervenes to us, a to-do list is a must for everybody's life. Like you will not feel the need of it today if you're an engineering student or if you have just passed out of college and started a work routine. That's because there's something structured for you. But the moment you, escalate on those ladders, there will be multiple things for you to keep track of, and no one's brain is a supercomputer. So then having a to-do list and getting into that habit, like you needn't actually write it down in a diary, but there are applications like any.do, there is Microsoft Notebook, there is, if you're using an Android or an iPhone, you might have to-do list inside your phone itself. So like even your personal things, like, these are the 10 things that you need to do. Let's say you that is, can you please
Yeah, I'll just have a look.
Rakesh,
Please go ahead, Aisha.
yeah, the next time the same person goes unmute, please remove it off before I interrupt and cut.
Yes, that will be taken care.
Yeah, thank you. So, like I was saying, a to-do list is very important because if you're reporting to a particular manager and if he has assigned certain tasks, today more than completing it, they also want to see what the progress is. So that becomes a vital part of who you are as a professional. And also, like I said earlier, communication skills, your availability 24/7. 24/7 doesn't mean that you are actually awake 24/7, but it's the response time that you take to certain, communicative indications, be it external or internal. And also the whole calendar system that comes into your, like you should know what's happening next week. You should know when the board meetings are, or you should know what's happening in your college in the coming 1 month and plan your life around it. So basically, these are some quick pointers I had to give you. These are some screenshots I've taken from IEEE Resume Lab. Like I have mentioned, these are the different, services that they provide, which is you can build a resume, you can write letters, you can make portfolios, you you can also make video resumes, and at the same time, they also have a feature called you can create your own websites. I'm sure all of you would have noticed, at least because you're in IEEE, that most of our seniors in IEEE today have a website for themselves. Now, a website doesn't mean that you have to be a company. You can be your own personal brand. It can have your blog. It can have the different work that you have do. It can have a work gallery of images that you have gone or at conferences that you have attended, people that you have met, a review of what you want to write about different events. Like even developing that whole website in your 4 years of engineering life is really going to make a difference. Imagine you walking to an employer and saying that you have a website of your own and you have written a report on every single event that you have attended, or you have written a gist of every single conversation you have had with a startup founder or an IEEE fellow or any of that sort. So that makes a lot of difference in who you are as a person. And these are things just beyond your resume. What your resume will carry will be just the link of that website. Similarly, the second and the third screen can share. Rakesh, can you please cut that out?
It is done, it is done.
Yeah, so the second and third screens pretty much is about the different templates that they have and like how you can segregate based on the department that you work. Like by default, they help you come up with, responsibilities that you have taken care, what your course has covered. So it pretty much makes your life easy. So to start off, IEEE Resume Lab is the perfect platform to keep pushing, the basic draft, and then you can always pull in a lot of creativity or maybe uniqueness on how you want your resume to be a little different.
Girls இருந்தாங்க அது அந்நேரம் இல்லாம
And something that is very important otherwise is that you cannot use one resume to apply to 10 jobs. I don't know how many of you are planning to do that, but that's the first thing you should not do, because if your target audience is different, your resume is also supposed to be different. Like take the very simple case that if you're applying to a startup, then your resume has to be different when compared to you applying to an Accenture or an Infosys or a TCS. So your target audience, like a very relevant point which most of us miss. Or let's say when I was in my engineering school, nobody even told me about that. Like I had freaking one single resume which I used to send it to everybody. Like be it an IEEE role, be it a professional, organization that's come, like even to Apollo Tires, even to Indian Oil, even to Indian Navy, the resume was the same. So that's one thing that you need to be very careful, that your resume should have multiple versions depending on whom you are applying to. It's on the nature of the employer and the size of the company. Like if you're applying to a company like a startup which is 20 or 30 member, then your resume has to be very engaging in terms of how much you can contribute in the growth of that company. But you don't have to write that same thing for a TCS or an Infosys because they have already grown up. Your contributions really won't matter to a level that it is helping the company's vision and mission. So that is one reason why the target audience and the resume versions are, directly proportional, and why you need to have multiple versions of it. Second is data gathering. Like I told you, your resume should not become your autobiography. Like I've stopped writing my 10th and 12th grades anymore, because if BTech is my highest education, or if a course from say Wharton School is my highest education, I will only write that, because by default I know that if I have to get a course from Wharton, I should have a undergrad, and I also should have a school degree which is 10th and 12th. Your undergrad and your masters, I agree, is very important, so that people get a context of what your undergrad education was and your master education was. But your 10th and 12th grade marks really doesn't matter unless you're applying to a very conventional government organization where they really want to gauge you how you have performed in your school. But even if you don't write it, trust me, nobody is going to judge you on that. if your engineering scores really make it worth. So you'll have to first gather all the data that you have, all the medals that you have won, all the certificates that you have, all the events that you have participated. Like, I don't even know how many of you have a list or some Google document which says how many IEEE events that you have attended or how many webinars have you completed. Like, this might sound very silly when I tell you, like I felt the same when many people told me this when I was in college. But then trust me, it really matters, because tomorrow if you have to say that I have attended 100 odd IEEE events, I know that it's 100 because I have a count of it. So unless you don't keep account of it, it really doesn't matter. So the whole data gathering has to be done. Like, you have to scribble it down, every single thing about you which really makes you unique. Like, if you are a skating champion, you have to write that. If you are a Bharatanatyam dancer at national level, you have to write that. But depends on what's most important. Because you do 10 things doesn't mean that you put all the 10 things on paper, but it's all about how you curate and how you want to put it in order, like your education, your experience, what are your unique skill sets, tech stack that you know. Like today, if I know the program inside a technique, then that's one of my tech ability. If you know a certain computer language, then that's one other ability.
Isha?
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting. There is some kind of disturbance. Can you please hold on for a minute and just check who's it?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm not able to find who is it. Please mute yourself because it is really disturbing all the other participants.
Can you just see who's is unmute and just cut the participant out? Because I don't think we have any other option.
I'm doing that, but it's showing that everybody is in mute. You please go ahead, Aisha.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I was saying, the whole target audience, data gathering, and understanding what's important goes first, and the SWOT analysis. Like, I came to know about what SWOT analysis is when I was in my second year of college. Like, it's very important that as an individual, forget your resume, forget who you are as a professional, but understanding what your strengths are in terms of tech, in terms of personal attributes, understanding your weakness, your opportunities, and your threats. All of you, please make sure that after this webinar, you go ahead, Google what SWOT analysis is, and try to see how much you can do, like how much you can fill a SWOT analysis table, and how much of that can help you put things onto your resume. So doing that is very important, and so doing that is very important, and I'm sure that will really help you, and that will really help you keep your resume a little different from what a copy paste will look like. And there are a few things that I've written on the sites, like, it's a chance for you to impress. So whatever you write or the way you present it is very important. Uh, because this is your one single chance. Like, what happens nowadays is, because of the huge competition, sometimes you don't even go beyond resume. Like, take the case of the company that I work for currently. We are a HR tech startup, so we have built a search engine. Excuse me. We have built a search engine that can rank your resume and then decide whether we have to take you further for the next round or not. So it's not even a human being who's reading it. It's an AI engine based on machine learning and NLP that is reading out your resume and telling us that this dude is good or this dude is not good. So it is very important that your resume has the capacity to put things clear. Even a AI bot should be able to understand and able to rank you among, say, 100 other applicants. Similarly, putting light to the best things in your life. You don't have to write 100 achievements, but even if you write 10, make sure that those are the top 10 things in your life, and also position yourself for success. Like, you have to really show the growth. You cannot simply write that I became the IEEE TEMS Women in Engineering lead one fine morning. Like there is a progress to what has happened. You would have been a volunteer, you would have been taken up a position in your college SB. From there you would have taken something in your section, and that's how you keep going. So that whole progress will let people understand, what you are as a person and how you have given focus to your career and your path as, towards, the success that you're looking at. Also, like I said earlier, gaining a competitive edge is very important, because otherwise you're just one among the hundred. Like if you really want to differentiate to be that one unique person, then it needs to have something that is very unique about you. Though I said everybody should have a to-do list or everybody should do a SWOT analysis, I am sure that after this webinar, maybe some 20% of you do it. The rest of the 80% will plan to do it tomorrow, might miss it tomorrow, then it becomes the other 60% doing it day after tomorrow. But even that 20% who does it today is a unique set, because they've already done it something earlier than others. And also improving your odds. Like if you feel that the job that you're applying for requires a particular set of skill set, let's take the case of a startup which is building a product and they are using a particular tech stack to build it. Then make sure that you read more about it, you understand what it is, and then also write what your contribution to that particular startup can be, like I said earlier, or write what are your tech stack abilities, when compared to that particular startup. You can write if your abilities are basic, intermediate, or advanced, depending on who you are exactly. You cannot just, bluff here, because there are tests that will happen after they see your resume, and that will be a bad disappointment once you do that. So you have to be very careful on what you say. Like I've seen a lot of resumes which looks very much, inflated. Like the moment I see it, I know it's inflated. I know it's all blown up stories. And trust me, somebody like a recruiter who sees around 50 to 100 resumes every day, for that person to spot an inflated resume only takes, say, like 10 to 15 seconds. And these are some top complaints regarding resumes. Like I found this randomly out of Google. Like if you look at it, the major mistakes that people worldwide, like this is a worldwide, this is a part of a LinkedIn survey that was done across the globe, and what they say is the major kind of mistakes that you find is grammatical and spelling errors. This is not because you don't know English, but the problem here is no matter how good we are at what we are, if we are writing something, it's always better to get it proofread by somebody else, because you are writing it, you read it 10 million times, you get so used to those lines that now you know what it is. So you might not pick the actual errors. So proofreading becomes very important with the kind of statistics that we see here. And the second thing is overly wordy and not concise. Like, some people write that I did that, I did this, I do that. And so the whole sentence is about multiple things that even if I'm reading it, I might just get confused of what all you did. You have to be so concise of what you did. If you did digital marketing for an event, just write digital marketing. You don't need to write that I took care of all the social media platforms like Instagram, like Facebook, like Twitter. So you don't have to be that elaborate. Like people who are reading your resume are also knowledgeable people. So you can be concise. And the other point that you'll see is no focus. Like I told you earlier, you should be able to portray you as somebody who's followed a path to reach where you are, or wants to follow a path to where you want to reach. So either you say present, or you talk about your past, or you talk about the future that you want to be, but it has to be a journey, and people should be able to see that. And another thing is no objective of poorly worded. Like there has to be an objective. Like if you ask me to write about myself in 2 sentences, I should be able to write it. And that 2 sentences pretty much should talk about everything I am as a professional, everything I am as an engineer, everything I am as a sports enthusiast, auto enthusiast, or whatever I want to, show myself outside. Similarly is irrelevant info. Irrelevant info as in, like I told you, you don't need to write that you've got a gold medal when you were in 6th grade for a badminton game. So, like, it's also about what you really want to show. Like, if they are not interested to know about your badminton, then please don't write about it. So, if those are not your top 10 achievements, then it's okay and it's completely fine to just not write it and go ahead with whatever you have. Unprofessional looking resume. I don't know how many of you give importance to formatting or, writing different fonts. Like there is a header text and there is a, body text. Now, if your header text is not bold and your body text is bold, then by default, it is a bad looking resume. So like basics of using a Microsoft Word is formatting your document in a way that it looks good. It doesn't mean you have to use rainbow colors. It doesn't mean you have to use cursive writing fonts. It doesn't mean it should have animations, but I'm just saying a proper Word document written in a very good, font, like let's say an Arial or a Times New Roman, or let's say a Comforta or a Sans Serif, but in a very legit way that I can read it, say font size 11, 12 minimum, is what is more important. So focusing on that is like really important. The length of the resume, I've been telling that since slide 1, is very important, that it cannot cross one page because nobody has the time to flip a page. Like that's all. And certain other categories which might differ from person to person. I've seen resume where the name of the father is same because he just copied it from his friend. So these are situations that we face every day. So these are certain do's and don'ts. Like if you ask me what is the do's, do think of your resume as an advertisement of your qualification and not your autobiography. Like I've told you this multiple times. Do begin each bullet point with a verb. I don't know how many of you focus on that. Like starting the whole sentence with a verb makes it sound like you are not bluffing and you have really done work. It's the difference between action speaks louder than words. So if you start with a verb, it's pretty much understood that, it is like you have done something to that. Also, do include paid and unpaid experiences to demonstrate the range of what you have done. So in an Indian context, an unpaid will be a volunteering experience and a paid will be an internship, or let's say a work experience that you have, gathered during your internship time or something. So you have to really segregate that and show them that you have both facets and you have volunteered when you had extra time. So that pretty much expands you as a professional. Also show reader why you are a good match for a particular job. Now this is the reason why I said you should have multiple versions of a resume, because one resume cannot really help you for a particular job. Like you have to make sure that you tell them that you are the right match for that job, and that resume cannot be used for another company telling that I am a right fit there also. Also, like I said earlier, do make several resumes, each one targeting a particular field. Use reverse chronology, which is like the basics, and I'm sure all of you know that the latest goes on the top and the last one goes at the back. Do format your resumes clearly. Make sure there are no intents, there is proper line spacing, you use bold only when required, you underline only when required, you use colors at the minimum, like don't make it look like a rainbow poster. And also do proofread many times and also by a third party. Like even if you proofread it 10 times, a third person reading it will really help. Also do remember that most employers will be taking a look at your resume only for 15 to 30 seconds. So make sure that at a single glance, people know at least some things to judge you as a professional. And certain don'ts are, don't make the reader dig for information. Like it shouldn't be like you have written a one big paragraph of 3,000 words and now I need to figure out what you have done there in that company. Also, don't tell everything that you have ever done. Very simple, just keep it your highlight points. Don't use complete sentences. Like I told earlier, it is not essay writing. You just need to use a verb, say what you have done, and that's all. Don't use, don't include personal information. Like, I don't know how many of them have told you this, considering that the whole feminism, the gender equality, the race equality, inclusion that we are talking today, I don't see most resumes reflect that. Like somebody might be a feminist outside, somebody might be a inclusion social activist outside, but still in their resume they write their age, they write their gender, they write their marital status, health status. Like I'm not even joking, I've seen people write their health status, which is like totally pointless. So you don't have to write any of this. Like nowadays you don't even have to tell the gender, because no company can actually ask you for gender as per the government rules. Then don't make resumes too dense or look very busy and not even cute. Like don't put smileys in it, don't put pink flashy ribbons coming out of it. Don't use a font which is smaller than 10, because that's the minimum of a single shot reading, no matter how superhuman somebody is. And also don't use fancy fonts which is hard to read, because not everybody is a calligraphy artist. And like now that I've told you so much about resume, like this slide is my like I'm going to contradict myself, where I'm going to say that if you have like a proper LinkedIn profile, you don't need to have a resume. Like unless you're going for an offline interview in your college for a placement drive where you need to produce a resume because they don't have a laptop in front of them or they haven't connected with you earlier, I totally agree. But otherwise, even if somebody asks you for a resume, you should be so confident that copying your LinkedIn public URL and sending that on an email to them just does the job, because LinkedIn pretty much has every single section that I talked to you earlier about. You can put your education there, you can put your marks there, you can put your experience, you can write about what you have done in the companies, you can write about the different licenses and certificates that you've got, you can write about your volunteering experiences, and also you can take assessments on the skill set that you have taken. It also gives you option to give references and also take references. So if a platform like LinkedIn is giving you all of that, I totally understand that in the current scenario, we don't need to have a resume. Like for example, I'm just going to show you my LinkedIn profile. Not a great one, but I'm just going to show you my LinkedIn page. Not very great, but at least, some notion into what it looks like. Keep a very good photo of your face looking straight into the camera. I've seen photos where you're sitting with 10 people. Please don't put that as your LinkedIn profile, because I don't have the time to sit and identify who are you out of that 10. With just reading your name, it's impossible for me to find out who are you out of that 10, considering that these days names are so weird that I can't even identify whether you're a boy or a girl. So make sure that your profile picture, focuses on your face and identifies you as a person, and is at least recent by at least 1 year. Like I've seen people who are 35 putting a photo from their college days where I see the person in real and I'm like, are you the same person on your LinkedIn? So that is really unacceptable.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, Aisha. Your LinkedIn profile is not visible. It's again a grayed out screen.
Okay, 1 second.
Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yeah. Now it is visible.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So make sure that you put a very clear photo. Your context, like I've written technology, talent, sports, inclusion, engineering, and sustainability. That's all. It's pretty much every single thing that I do. My location, and then when you go down in the about section, you really need to write what you are in like a very small manner. Like I've written, I'm an engineer by education, growth facilitator and operations specialist by profession, workaholic, hustler, people's person, football enthusiast, adventure seeker, culture vulture, wanderlust, and a believer of spontaneity by passion. Like I've just used a short set of words, but I've pretty much written everything about me so that, whoever reads it can judge it according to whatever way they want. And when you keep going down, it is very good that you write articles. Needn't be that you become a very amazing writer. You don't need to be one. Like I said, like if you have gone for an IEEE event, just use that picture that I'm sure you would have clicked one picture at least. Use that picture, write something about what you felt going for that event. Just make sure that your activity is good enough so that people know, you are a very social person. In your experience, you can write the different companies that you have worked for, the different roles that you have worked. Like I said, like in IEEE itself, if I've been a member for 7 years and 5 months, it's important for me to tell how I started, like no matter how small it is. So that whole, pedigree helps people to understand the growth. Similarly, you can put your education, you can put your scores, volunteering experiences, skills and endorsements, recommendations, accomplishments in terms of language, organization, test scores, and also certain interests that really matters. Like who I follow also defines who I am. This is like how my digital footprint is on the internet. Tomorrow, if you go type yourself, like how many of you have typed your own names on the Google search bar and clicked enter and see what comes on different tabs like image or let's say video or Google Maps, and seen what the Google is trying to show you? Trust me, it will be so fascinating for you to understand that you're all over the place. Like anybody in our era is all over the place on the internet. You have to simply type your name on Google and see where all Google is trying to find you. So that is very important. And like I said, having a great resume is not a must, but having a Can you see my PPT back, Rakesh?
Yes, Aisha.
Yeah. So having a LinkedIn profile is way more important than having a resume. Like there are days where today when somebody asks me for my resume, I openly with full confidence tell them that this is my LinkedIn URL. Whatever you're looking for is available there. But then I cannot just do and without proper things done. Like take the case of my college. My college does not even have a LinkedIn page, which is a shame. And it's not that I randomly studied in some, XYZ college. I studied in one of the top 5 engineering colleges in Kerala. But that is another thing that you can do as an IEEE member. Talk to your principal, talk to your administration at your college, make sure they create a LinkedIn page so that tomorrow when you add that to your LinkedIn profile, it makes like there is a logo, there is something written about the college so that people also get a context of, which college you studied. So like I said, we have all come down to LinkedIn, which is very important. And this image is just to tell you that your skill set really matter. If I am this first elephant and if you're the second elephant, trust me, you're the one who's going to get the job. It's as simple as that. And like I told you, there are multiple data options like, there's things like Coursera, there's Wikipedia, there's platforms like Byju's, Vimeo, Pinterest, Khan Academy, and YouTube. All of these channels, like, I don't know if you'll, like, how many of you have even opened Khan Academy is like a big question that I have. But these are portals which will help you get a lot of data. Like it might be a 2-month course, a 3-month course, or multiple options of what you can gain as data. And you can use channels like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and WhatsApp, and Google Plus. All of us use that to connect with our friends, but you can also use it in a professional manner to gain knowledge and also communicate with people. So making the right connection and networking with the right set of people is really important. And I understand that's the core basics of IEEE, and we are fortunate to, get it via an organization like IEEE. And also there's this whole thing that I keep telling people that, there was this law which says degree of separation between you and a random person is 6 times, like 6 human beings. But just imagine that in a reverse and consider that as a degree of connection. Like if you really want to reach to say Mr. Modi, it's not a big task. Like just think that before you reach the 6th person, it is Modi. Like you talk to your principal of the college. The principal of the college, let's say, knows the education minister. The education minister knows the chief minister, and the chief minister knows Modi. Like it's simple. That doesn't mean that tomorrow you need a selfie with him, you go take selfie. But it's that in case if you have something valid and worth it, reaching a random person is just a matter of 6 people in between. That's all. Like that's a very generic rule. I'm just telling you the different things that has happened in my life so that I can show you how much a pedigree is worth. I started my professional choice of who to work for from IEEE and IEDC. IEDC means Innovation and Entrepreneurship Development Cells that used to function in our colleges in Kerala. So these were the 2 choices I made as an engineering student. But these 2 choices in my resume really made difference to the different logos that you see down today, which I can put in my pedigree, because these are the different organizations, these are the different companies that I've worked for, I consult for, or I have volunteered for. So if I can put across these many logos on my resume, then I don't even have to write a resume. Like just showing this page will be good enough for them to understand what my capacities is. Like I don't even have to mention what capacity I've worked, because if somebody is able to reach out to various sectors, like there's technology in it, there's sports in it, there's community building in it, there's event in it, and there's mechanical engineering in it, there's product management in it. So if you are able to show a pedigree of how you have worked or where you are going to work or what is your college activities like, then that is worth it. Like that makes you worth as an individual. And also making digital footprints. Like it is not about you putting a photo on Instagram, but if you're getting featured on, say, an IEEE page, then putting that link on your resume matters, or putting that on your LinkedIn matters. Like today, like if you see, if you go to FIFA.com and search, then this is going to come. So I don't need to write about what I have done for football, but I can just put that link and it's self-explanatory. So making sure that whatever is available on the internet, you put it across on your resume as a link which people can click and validate. Because simply writing English is like, nobody can judge whether you're bluffing or whether it's correct. But if you actually put a link and if somebody can click and go see a YouTube video or go, check out a website and see your contributions there, then you're validating it right away. So that's the whole point why it's very important to have an online resume. And just to close my whole note, like I keep saying this to everybody I meet, that those who can, they just do it. Those who can do more, they volunteer. And that's the whole joy of volunteering, that we all love being IEEEs. And I really hope that this was helpful. I am opening the session to question and answers, depending on if you had any instances where you felt you wanted help in making your resumes. And just to give you a general note, that if all of you have certain doubts or certain, if you need me to review your resume also, you can always write back to me. My email ID is available with Inian. He can pass it to all of you, and you can always write to me and send it to me, and I can give you whatever possible feedbacks I can in order to make it better. So thank you for being a part of the webinar. I am looking forward to, answering few of your questions in the time that we have. And I really hope that, to some extent I could do justice to, explaining to you, how exactly a resume can do good to you, as well as, you don't need to have a resume and just have a LinkedIn account. So it's up to you to decide now, and I've just kept it open to all of you.
Thanks, Aisha. That was a great session.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys, if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat box. You have an option called chat with all. You can drop your questions there. Aisha, you're on video. Aisha, your voice is not audible.
No, I'm fine with it. I've just kept it open.
Okay, that's great. Okay. Any questions? I cannot see anything in the chat window.
Yeah, I'm waiting for somebody to type.
Yes. Okay, guys, we'll be waiting for the questions. Meanwhile, I'll give you a little information about what IEEE TEMS is. IEEE TEMS is one of those societies under IEEE banner which gives you best of both technical and management worlds. Okay, so you want to be an engineer, but you have good management skills, so you will be called as an engineering manager in general. So this society basically hones those kind of skills and supports the leadership in throughout your professional life. We have many social media pages. Like we are active on LinkedIn. We have a Facebook page. We also have a YouTube channel called IEEE TEMS TV. If you guys can visit it, it would be great. All the webinars, all the activities which are done under IEEE TEMS banner will be posted there on the YouTube channel, and also you can visit IEEE-TEMS.org for more details on IEEE TEMS. I have posted my email ID in the chat window. If you have any queries regarding membership or any kind of events like this, please write to me.
Yeah, so if anybody has any questions, Rakesh, I'll put across my email ID also on the.
That would be great. Please.
Yeah, so that people can write down, and also I'm sure that just listening to this webinar is not going to do a lot of difference, but unless they don't sit and try to do on their own on how to build a resume, questions will arise then. So like if it's good to wind up, then I'm fine. I don't want to keep people holding on a Friday night.
I understand. One small thing to all participants here is, if you are a student, you have a good news that you have a discount on IEEE TEMS membership. If you people use a code, you can save 40% when you join IEEE TEMS. Okay, you'll get to know the code if you write to me. about TEMS. If you have anything about TEMS, or if you have any doubts regarding your resume, if you write to me, you'll get to know what it is all about. I think there are no questions to be taken.
Yeah,
Can you
so
find any questions, Aisha?
yeah, I have put my email ID. I would request them to write to me in case they have any queries. Otherwise, all good. Wishing all of them a happy new year and a good year ahead in terms of becoming what they are aspiring to. And I really hope that all of them go try and make their resumes and make sure that it doesn't look like the one their roommate or their classmate has made.
Yeah. So that's it. Thanks a lot, Aisha, for your time, and thank you all for participating. Looking forward to more
Hello,
participation.
excuse me. Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah, sir, actually, I have asked a question to Aisha ma'am.
Yeah, I saw that. You can
yeah.
write about that to me on an email.
Okay, ma'am.
Take forward that because that has nothing to do with the session that was taken. So you can definitely write about that to me on my email ID that's put across.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, people. Have a good day.
Yep. Thank you. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.